Alright guys, what's up? Alex here with DOGTRAININGWORLDWIDE.COM. So first thing we want to make sure of, when we're teaching a dog to walk loosely on a leash is to never reinforce or never reward him when there is actually tension on the leash, right? So with him right now, we're using a slip collar to which we have our leather leash attached. So if you have a clip-on leash like this, it's very easy to see whether there's any tension on the leash or not. Right? Because remember, the dogs will be much more sensitive, so it doesn't have to be full-on tension like this for there to be tension, right? So our key point here that we're going to look at is whether this clip is always hanging down, right? In this way, there's no tension at all. You can see actually, since this slip doesn't have a stopper, how it opens up completely. And if there's any tension, if this is up, then there's tension on the leash. This is ultimately going to be a correction for the dog. So here I'm never going to reward if it is like this. No tension. Tension. No tension. The main reason why we want our dogs to walk loose on a leash is so that they have to pay attention to us, so that they're engaged with us. If they're pulling ahead, they've got their head to the ground, maybe even smelling around, they're not going to be paying attention to us. Try watching this video while reading a book, and you're going to find that you're either not going to have paid attention to the video or to the book. So it's the same to the dog. If he's focused, on all the smells on the ground, then you're not existent. So one exercise you can do at home if you have another person there. What you're going to do is put the leash on your partner and then take a couple steps backwards so that there's tension on the leash. Now quietly, without making a loud noise, walk around and tell the person with the closed eyes to point a finger at where you are. Should be fairly easy for them to tell where you're located. Now, next thing that you're going to do is take a step towards them so that there's no tension on the leash anymore. And now do the same thing. Again, be very careful not to make any noise as you're walking. Now it should be a little bit more difficult for the person to point out where you're at and feel where you're moving. And this looks so simple, but it really drives home why you need a loose leash with your dog. Put your right hand out like an L, hang the loop over, hang half of the leash over and grab it. There's a video we made, you can click on it to watch how to handle the leash. The leash is always going to be on the right hand side when we're training, in front of your belly button, so that with your left hand you can treat or pet the dog. We're going to have a treat in our hand. What we don't want to do is we don't want to be luring the dog, right? This is not what you want to do. Instead, I'm simply going to walk, and whenever the dog is in the position that I want him to be, I'm going to treat him. It's a little bit far away from us. Good boy. You can use something like a wall or some other kind of barrier so that he's a little bit closer to us. Good boy. Good boy. Notice we're not giving any commands yet. I'm not saying heel, I'm not saying here, I'm not saying anything. We're simply showing him the mechanics of what we want him to do, which is walking next to his side with a loose leash. Guys, quick side note here. Make sure you put on the slip lead, choke chain, whatever you're using on the dog correctly. You can check out one of our videos on whatever training tool you're using to see how to use it properly. You start walking in circles towards your left, for example, with your dog, and every time he gets ahead of you or he pulls behind, you're going to give him a quick pop and release. Now, if he's going ahead of you, simply do a 180-degree turn and walk in the opposite direction. If he's turning to the left, walk to the right. If he's going to the right, walk to the left. Okay, if he's staying behind you, which you can see that's what happens with Dante here, he tends to lag, I'm simply going to give him a couple of tugs on the leash. Quick pop and release. If it has to be 2 or 3 or 4, do that. Never keep the tension on the leash, because anyway, dogs have an opposition reflex, so they're going to pull in the opposite direction of where you're pulling. Right there you can see, as long as if I keep a longer pressure on there, he's simply going to go backwards. But by releasing that pressure and then applying it again, he's just walking to where I am. And the same happens when your dog is ahead of you. If that constant pressure is there, he's just going to keep pulling. That's why I give him a pop and do a 180. One of the major mistakes that people do is to start doing these exercises, or any training for that matter, in an environment with a lot of competing motivators. So start doing this just inside your home, in your backyard. Better yet, in a closed room. Once your dog's walking on a loose leash, at the first place where you started training it,
it's time to move out. So move out to the front of your house, for example. Here we can see Gary with Rico, and he's just switching it up on Rico, right? He'll go, if the leash gets tight, he'll give him a correction. If not, he won't. And he'll only use positive reinforcement in that case. Make sure you lay a good foundation and don't rush it. And then once you're doing fine outside of your home, then you'll start walking further and further and further until you can do it wherever there are very high distractions. But this is going to take you a while. Your success depends mainly on 3 variables which you can influence. And those are your timing, your consistency, and how motivated you can get your dog. If you believe all those are in check and you're still not getting the results you need, consider changing your training collar or give us a call for a video analysis of your training session.